tonight I'm going to be sharing some Valentine's Day related stuff from our archives because we've got Valentine's Day coming up and we've got a lot of fun things that I always like to share on Facebook and the newspaper when we get to Valentine's Day time. So I thought it would be nice to do a program to share some of those things and look at some of the pretty Valentines we have, some of the funny and inappropriate Valentines that we have, things like that in our archives. And I'm sure Patty, who's been bringing a lot of her family collection to us, I'm sure she probably has some fun Valentines that she's got some with her right now.
Oh,
So I know Patty's been bringing all sorts of great things as part of the ARC family collection and related families. So she's got all sorts of fun holiday stuff that we didn't have in our collections before. So I'm looking forward to see what else she has to add. So we can, it's fun to be able to share that stuff when you get around holiday times. So
I didn't realize you were even collecting things like that. So
we have
Valentines from the time I was real young, probably.
We do have a collection of, I think I'm gonna have to go back out. Marianne, we have a part of in our archives and our collections where we just call it social history. A lot of times, we want stuff to be very directly connected to the area, but when stuff is representative of everybody's experience, we put that kind of stuff in the social history category so that we can talk about. That's like where our county fair stuff goes in there, and all of our Valentines and cookbooks and things like that are in those categories in the archives. So I love to collect greeting cards from all different time periods, and that's where we have fun little postcards and things like that. So yes, we do take some of that stuff. So Marion, if you've got it, you can offer that.
If I get the energy to go through all the boxes that I've got in my garage from when Doug moved into my house, why, I can give you a lot of stuff. I've got like booklets from the past presidents from the presidents of the PTA and the past presidents of the PTA, and we don't even exist anymore. All kinds of stuff like that.
You make us a list or put a box together. We'll talk about it. That goes for anybody on this call. We do take stuff. So I'm gonna switch over to my screen, but I'm gonna mute now because that'll cut down on any background noise as we go. But I want everybody to feel free to unmute. Definitely comment if you remember any of these Valentines, if you gave any of these Valentines, or if you know any of the people that we have in any of these pictures. Feel free to comment. We're happy to hear that and have any more information that we can get on any of this stuff. So I'm gonna mute, and you guys can unmute yourselves. And then I'm gonna switch over to my screen. And I need to remember to share it first. Sorry, guys. Share screen. There we go. It's the snow. I blame the snow. All right. Can everybody see okay? Shake your head. I can see some of you. So this is a little presentation about a little bit of Valentine's Day history. I wanted to give a little bit of background. Everybody always says that, the grumpy people that don't like to celebrate Valentine's Day, they say it's just a Hallmark creation to make money. It's not. So I have a little bit of the background of that. And here's a little bit of the historic background. It has its roots in ancient Roman festival, which is a lot of our holidays come from that was celebrated from February 13th to 15th. And it was dedicated to Faunus, who was the Roman god of agriculture, and to the founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus. The pagan Roman priests would gather at a sacred grave where they believed that Romulus and Remus had been cared for by a she-wolf. And the priests would sacrifice a goat and a dog and then slap the crops and the women, which I found that a very odd thing, with the hides to ensure fertility. And then young unmarried women would place their names in an urn and be matched with bachelors for the year that would often lead to marriage. So as you can imagine, it was deemed unchristian at the end of the 5th century. So Pope Galatius claimed that pagan festival for the Christians and created a Christian feast day around 496. So Valentine's Day, as we know it, not as we know it necessarily, but has been around since 496 AD. And that's when it was February 14th. But the question is, who was the actual Saint Valentine? And as the person in college who decided that my thesis was going to be on determining who the real King Arthur was, I realized that things in history are not always that clear. It's very hard to determine who the real Saint Valentine was. There are three main candidates. There was number one, a Roman priest. Number two was Bishop of Italy, of Terni, Italy, and number three was a martyr in a Roman province in Africa. So our Saint Valentine number one lived in the 3rd century in Rome, and he was a priest and a physician. And Emperor Claudius II had outlawed marriage for young men because he thought that single men were better soldiers. And Valentine defied this and performed secret marriages. When he was discovered, he was put to death, and this was supposedly, of course, on February 14th. And then this is where there's all different sorts of years that are thrown in that this could have happened in the late 200s. And he's buried on the Flaminian Way, and Pope Julius in the 300s had a basilica built on the site to preserve the tomb. So our second candidate was a 3rd century also. He was a bishop in Interamna, now Terni, which is about 60 miles from Rome. He was also put to death, coincidentally, also on February 14th, and buried in the Flaminian Way. So very likely this is the same person, that just some of the facts are moved around. So those are our two candidates that may or may not be different people. And then number three was a person who was a martyr in Africa with several other companions. Nothing else is known. But just so you know, if you were to look up in the Roman Catholic Church all of the different patron saint names, there are at least 11 other Valentines in that list. So it is a more difficult one to parse out. But I think the first two candidates are probably closer to the same person. So we have some of our Valentine's Day traditions that come out of the legends that surrounded Saint Valentine, whichever one you're looking at. One is that while in jail, Saint Valentine left a farewell note for the jailer's daughter and signed it "From your Valentine." Very sweet. Another is that Valentine cut hearts out from parchment and would give them to soldiers and persecuted Christians to remind them of their vows and God's love. Another part of the legend was that Valentine wore a purple amethyst ring with an image of the Roman Cupid, Roman god, the god of love, or that's not, he's the sun. Roman soldiers would recognize the ring and ask him to perform a marriage for them. And then we know that red is the color of the heart and the color of martyrdom. And that's why priests wear red vestments on feast days of martyrs. So the people that say that it's the work of Hallmark, that's not true. Valentine's Day greetings have been popular since the Middle Ages. The first written Valentines appeared in 1400 AD. Esther Howland was considered the mother of the Valentine, and she began selling and mass producing them in the 1840s. And today they estimate there are 145 million cards sent each year. And that does not count classroom Valentines. So I think that would make a lot more, because I was just at the store this week and there was, an entire aisle in Walmart and Walgreens and Meijer just of the little Valentine's Day boxes. Which I found interesting and sad today when my daughter told me that I got Harry Potter Valentines for her to give and Avengers for my son to give. They were only $1 at Dollar Tree. And she told me today that they're not going to be able to give Valentines out in class due to COVID. So I said, well, so family members on here, you may be getting a whole bunch of Valentines sent to you in the mail, because they may still want to send them, or we'll just hang on to them. But they're waiting to hear what can be done for Valentine's Day this year. But half their class is not there in person anyway, so we'll see how that's all handled. But you can see, even despite all of this, there were still tons of Valentines available in the store. So a few things before I get to the Valentines we have in our collection, I wanted to share some other evidence of Valentine's Day throughout the archives. And this is a really fun collection that we have, the George Netz Diaries. George Netz was a man who was involved in quite a lot of things in Springfield history. He was on a lot of committees and boards in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And we have these tiny little diaries that he kept, a daily diary from 1868 all the way through his death in 1933. And they are always kept up to date. He always wrote in them, and they were donated by his family, and they transcribed every single one. And we have about 1,700 pages of a PDF that they transcribed all of them and made notations as to who he was talking about when they could figure it out, and tried to cross-reference things. So it's an amazing resource, not just for people looking at that family history, but since he was here in Springfield from 68 to 33 writing stuff down every day, it's a very great resource to find out what was going on at the time, like a big event, if there was a flood or a disaster of some sort or something going on, I would go to his diaries to see what he talked about. So of course, since it's transcribed, it makes it very easy to search it. So, you know, I just jumped into the transcription and typed in the word Valentine and saw that he mentioned it almost every year. So I wanted to have a couple of those examples of where he talked about Valentine's Day. So we've got, oh, I skipped, I'm sorry. One of the first ones, when he's a young man, he says, in 1874 was a pleasant day considering that it is winter. St. Valentine's Day. I sent 5 comic ones. So we see he's still a young man, not yet married, and he's sending to his sweethearts. We've got a few years later in 1887, he says it was a rainy day, and children were all excited over Valentine's. So at this point, he's moved on to another part of his life, and he's got kids, and they're giving out Valentines. In 1889, he was in the shop all day, and the boys are having a gay time with Valentine. So we know the kids are giving them. And we moved years later in the 1890s. Pleasant was at work. It's Valentine's Day, but its old time glory has departed. He spent his evening at home, so wasn't doing anything fancy for Valentine's Day. And one of my favorite ones at the one of his last entries where he mentions Valentine's Day is 1927. This was St. Valentine's Day. Young folks just as foolish as 50 years ago. So you could always count on Mr. Netz for interesting diary entries. So we've shared him before for big events, and when things open, he was always at the grand opening of our building, which was the day before Valentine's Day. So the anniversary of our building is coming up on this Saturday. So we'll probably be sharing some more information about that. But we know that George was there, and he mentions it in his diary, and he sat on the stage when they dedicated the building because he was a part of that committee that was behind building the city hall and marketplace. So some more Valentine's Day fun that we have in the archives is from Robbins and Myers employee newsletter from 1921. Shows the women of Robbins and Myers had a kid costume party and dinner for 100 of the lady employees at the R&M's restaurant that they had on site. And they had dancing games, candy and punch, and they exchanged Valentines. So you see everybody's all dressed up and smiling. And this is a picture that I really love, showing in 1861 a bunch of women that were, this picture was sent to Lieutenant David King of Company F, who was at Camp McClellan during the Civil War. And the young women in the photo had boyfriends in the regiment. So they got a picture all together and sent it with a letter. And then over here on the right, we've got another thing that a lot of people associate with Valentine's Day is the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, which occurred on February 14th, 1929, with the murder of 7 men that were part of a North Side Irish game during the Prohibition era. So I'm not sure Anna, or I think Casey's on here now, remembers how many years ago we had that program, but there was a police officer who was an expert on that and the massacre and the guns and all of the research that he came and did a program and brought several of he actually had one of the Tommy guns that was from that, and
you held it, right, Natalie?
And I held it, and we didn't include that picture on here. John's in here too. He held it too. But yeah,
I feel like that was like 2012, 2013.
Yeah, it was a while
2011.
back, but we did it. It was
there.
around Valentine's Day we had the program. So that's he brought all sorts of newspaper articles and stuff that people could look at that we had set up around the room. So we'll have to see about if he's still doing that. And in the future. Maybe that's another program, or maybe we could do it as a virtual program. Who knows? So, a few other things. Fun little Valentine greetings for the Axis in 1943 in the paper, like this one here. And then over here, we've got a picture of Betty Rader, who was a Wittenberg student, was one of thousands of women who were sending Valentines to their sweeties that were fighting overseas. So we've got a little picture here from the Springfield Daily News. So then I wanted to share, we've broken down the Valentines that we have by, so this is part of Marianne, this is that social history collection I was talking about. So we've got social history collection has, and probably an entire box of just Valentines, but we also have greeting cards from various time periods and holidays and things like that we can pull out to share online, or that show just a little slice of life. So we've got a lot of really great, beautiful Valentines, very funny ones. If my mom's on this call, I think that there's a box of Valentines that I probably left in my closet that probably got thrown away. But that would have been a good, if we find those would be a good thing to bring and have some more 80s and 90s Valentines in the collection. So we'll start in chronological order. Some of our oldest ones we have these beautiful, the 1840s, we know that this woman was mass producing and selling Valentines. We've got this 1845 lacy, beautiful one. And I love all of these ones are kind of very lacy and intricate. And probably about, like cabinet card size, not too big. The ones over here on the right here are smaller. I didn't show scale on these, but they're very pretty. We've got some other early 1900s ones. The great artwork. So I need to do a little bit more just on the general history of giving those out. I imagine that with ones as intricate as these, people were not necessarily giving them to everyone in their class or things like that. These might have been more special. In some cases, we probably have the more specific donation record on the back of these that we could trace back to, so we could see maybe if these were specifically given between sweethearts. But I didn't delve that far into the specific details on each one of these for now, but we know that they're from the same time period. More pretty ones. They're all, you can see that the style was very typical across all of them with all of the laciness. And some more. This one here, I don't know if I have another picture of it. It's a pop-out Valentine. The one down in the corner here, it's about 6 inches wide, and it opens up. So it's like you see those at Hallmark now, these very intricate 3D cards that you can have. So that was one of those. So, and we've got some more little more handmade one down here, looks like. Pretty little flowers. Love this little girl here. And these ones are from the 19 teens. And got some, I'm getting more on the little kind of scary side here with this one up here. And some intricate little fringe ones down here. I feel awfully funny whenever I think of you. I like this little clown here. Always a little bit scary. And we've got I love that. I mean, the style, you see how much it changes. These 1930s ones are all very much along the same lines. The hairstyles. This would have been when my grandma was a little girl, and I know she had the Dad, if you're on this call, what was that, the hairstyle? Anyone else can jump in with the little bob cut, what that was called, with the girls in these. We've got, and these ones are a little more pop-out ones that the things might spin on them when the clock here moves. Don't be alarmed. I love this one. And then we've got our 1950s. So this is the ones that we've got probably the most of. We got, I think Larry Ackerman was the donation of who they belonged to, had gone to Reid School in the 1950s. So this is where we have quite a few from the time frame. And again, you can see the style, although that, you know, these were all different Valentines probably given to them by classmates. You can see that they're all along the same style. And I'd done a little bit more research on the brand here, and they were called AmeriCard, and that was later bought by Hallmark. So that was a very popular brand. And lots of puns in these ones. And today we were participating online a little bit. They had a museum love letter day on Twitter where museums could send Valentines like this to each other and tag each other. So we that was fun to see what people were sending back and forth from their collections that they had for Valentine's Day. And we've got, here's all of my favorite puns from here. Cute little kitty. And do I bowl you over? So some fun ones in here. Lots and lots of puns. Some that would not, like, I had to look up this one, that's what the ring toss was called. Some of them were a little more obscure for things that people might not get. Don't turn up your nose at me. That's a cute one. And lots of cute little animal ones. Does anyone remember Valentines like these? Do you guys remember giving Valentines in school? I was talking to Barbara, one of our volunteers, and she said that there was big strip Valentines that you could cut them off, and the teacher would have those. Does anyone remember anything like that? No one? I'm going to unmute you all. Are Bob and Flossie, are you still on there? But yeah, I couldn't quite picture what she was talking about. And she said that rather than, because now I know that you know, my kids, they would make boxes and their own boxes, and everybody would have a box on their desk. But Barbara said she remembers that the box was on the teacher's desk, and everybody would put their Valentines in there, and then the teacher would sort them out and pass them out to people. But the way we did things, and the way I know my kids do things, is everybody gets a Valentine. You can't pick and choose who gets them. You're supposed to write them out to the whole class. So there wasn't any getting to choose who got what.
When I went to Kenwood School, the teachers used to, each year, they would give us a list of the kids in our class, and we could take them home. And then our parents could help us see that we had a Valentine for each person that way. So the teachers supplied a list each year for us.
They still do that.
I noticed you don't have very many things in the 40s era.
No, we had a gap there. We have the 30s, and then we had all these from the 50s.
I might have something like that from the 40s.
That would be great. We need to fill in some of those time periods for sure.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to see the difference in the styles, because you can see such a big difference between the 30s and the 50s to see what the 40s ones are like. I imagine that there might have been some patriotic ones on the war years. It would be interesting to see what some of those would have been like.
I can remember my very first sweetheart Valentine I got, I think it was in 7th grade, and it was I had a perfumed pillow, silk pillow on the front of it. And the guy must have paid $2 in those days for it, because it was, and I know who gave it to me, I won't say, but he knows because I reminded him of it. But anyway, that was my first one, and we had fancy Valentines, and that was in the late 40s.
What was the price? Because this, you know, I got this at this whole box of 48 Valentines was $1. So that shows that the pricing has not like skyrocketed over the years on them.
Well, I don't know, but this would have been expensive because it was probably like a $5 one would be nowadays or something like that. You know, it had a puffed out heart on the front of it, and it smelled like perfume, and it was really fancy. I bet I got it somewhere.
That's a very fancy one.
Yeah.
We've got a couple more. These are the ones that you probably wouldn't get away with putting these kids giving these out, or them having these today. um, not very politically correct, or they're a little violent for Valentine's. This pirate one is great for when we've used it for Talk Like a Pirate Day. When you do a search for what kind of pirate things we have in our collection, this is the only thing that comes up is this little pirate Valentine. So that gets gets used and shared a lot. But I still think these are pretty cute. But yeah, definitely wouldn't see these. And then we've got some 1980s ones. Cute little handmade one with this class picture on it. I love this one with a little doily. And our strawberry shortcake. And
You go push your knife.
little scratch and sniff ones. And you can see it's definitely been scratched. And Ziggy. And I love these ones. What, Holly Hobby? Is that who that is? And then see here, this was the I think this was last year at Meyer. The picks that you had available. So you can see that now they come with pencils and stickers and tattoos and all sorts of stuff with them, or 3D ones or gel ones or those scratch off. They're all sorts of different kinds that you can get. So I'm wondering if people are still saving them. I know that I did at one point. I did have a shoebox full of old Valentines, but I'm not sure if I did hold on to them. But if I did, my mom surely threw them away when she cleared that closet out. So I don't blame you, Mom, if you're listening still. So yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if people continue to hang on to them and donate. If we have anything to show from these years, these kinds of Valentines. You can see, I wonder when this style came in that everything is like this. There's a lot of candy ones too, that come with candy, but I imagine, with the Valentine's Day parties at schools are very different this year if anyone's having them. So that's all I have for now, but I know that this is a shorter one today. We just wanted to share a little bit of the things from the archives, and if you guys, I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Thank you very much. That was very nice. That was a really nice presentation.
Yeah, we've got some cute stuff, but yeah, you can see we always would love to have more. And also oh, Sailor, if you can do this real quick, go share the page where I promised my boss that we would share our donate link. So if anyone wondering where you can, I mean, we will always take donations of things, but we will also take donations of money to help us continue to do what we do. So I think if Sailor can look up that link, or
1 second.
or Casey's on, if someone can drop it in the chat. I promised him that we would do it, and that we would continue to remind people of where they can also donate monetarily. But I do love the social history stuff. Is some of my favorite things. We've got a great cookbook collection. That could be a good program too someday, that we could maybe cook some stuff that could get really dangerous and probably kind of terrible, but we could share some old recipes. Maybe people could share some of their favorites. I know we've got a lot of community cookbooks that were put out for fundraisers and things like that, and it's great to go through those, and people can recognize names of people that they know or knew, and things like that. So those are a great slice of life as to what people were eating and doing, and just like the greeting cards really show a lot. I know, Patty, you gave us some great Christmas greeting cards as part of your collection. That I mean, it's so interesting to look at how things change throughout the decades, the styles of things. That you can look at something and tell, just when it came from. So that's very interesting. I know that I'm working on a presentation about, it'll probably be even shorter than this, about what we have having to do with St. Patrick's Day, but that'll be interesting. So if it works out and I can do something, we might have a presentation on here as well that I can do virtually with some of our St. Patrick's Day stuff. So if you guys have anything out there having to do with St. Patrick's Day, that'll probably delve more into the Irish population in Springfield, and we've got some stuff about St. Patrick's Day parties and some greeting cards, but not quite as much stuff. So I'm working on that for Kiwanis, but I thought we might be able to bring that here or shorten the thing along with another program in March. So we'll see about that.
Natalie?
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention, didn't we just get a mailer recently that said you're having a special fundraising drive in February at the Heritage Center?
That wasn't us, but we'll take it.
Oh, well, I was
don't
thinking
think
I was thinking I got a request for funds. I was thinking it was from the Heritage Center, and they were calling it some kind of special promotion, and it was the month of February.
No.
No, not you. Okay.
I said Anna would know. She probably would have sent that out, but no, we
Well,
aren't doing that. But
I'll have to look back through my mail and see, because I thought to myself, well, I should send something for that, but I can't remember who it was that did it.
It definitely was not us.
well, Sailors dropped the link in there if you do want to know where our donate button is. But
Who's Sailor?
Sailor is actually a new intern from Wittenberg. Who is we have two Wittenberg interns, Sailor and River, who are helping us with more social media outreach. So they've been doing some of the posts that you've seen the last few weeks. They started about they're on their 4th week with us, that they've been doing a lot, helping us do a lot more and kind of revive some of the other social media channels that we kind of let go to the wayside, like Instagram and Twitter. We're trying to do more on there and interact more, and so we can reach different audiences too about things and share some of the things that we have.
So are the people that are listed on here that are not pictured, are they not on, like Tom Payne, for example?
Yeah, they just don't have their camera on. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I miss those guys that were around Tom and Don and I'm trying to think, Jack, different people that were there when I was there. So, and I want to say, Joanne, I'm glad to see you hung in there and you're still here, because she started when I was there. So,
yeah, we miss all our volunteers. We miss having people. Well, we miss in-person programs too, but it is nice to do these virtual ones. It lets us do, hopefully we can do more. We're working on one for the end of this month. We're going to do something with some of the stories from local people involved in local Black history, people, places, and major events. So we'll be putting some of that together to share 2 weeks from now on the 24th. And
I'd like to share something else with you. You mentioned Black History Month. I don't know whether you've ever seen it or not, but our former mayor, Bob Henry, his family kept a tremendous set of scrapbooks of his life and all his involvement in politics and Springfield and everything. And I don't know, where it is now. They used to keep it at the funeral home.
Oh,
but
it might still be there.
It's quite interesting, and I imagine it'll stay in the family as long as there's somebody in the family interested. But that's something that the Heritage Center needs to.
Yeah,
let them know you're interested in.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what whenever like this, like when we do programs, we are able to share what we have in our collections. There's gaps in everything that we have, so we're always open to collecting more and to talking to people in the community about what they have, so that we can represent everything that we can. So we'll keep working on that stuff. And I've said before, if you guys have program ideas, send them to me. I get people that will send me ideas of things we can do. I'm working on a World War II home front program that we can do later this year, and we'll be doing some other stuff. So
Natalie, have you ever done a presentation on World War II?
Well, that's what, I'm working on a home front one. So we'll probably do a few World War II ones this year, because we're in the 80th anniversary year of the start of American involvement in World War II. So I think we'll probably do a few programs on that. There was a gentleman I talked to the other day that was really interesting, that was doing calling to get some more research on a paper he was writing about somebody that was very instrumental in World War II, and he's writing an article. So he would be interested in, you know, possibly doing a presentation on an admiral that we had that was here from Springfield. So we've got a lot of options of things that we could talk about. So we'll work on that, and we'll probably do something about Pearl Harbor, the anniversary.
One admiral from Springfield.
And we're talking to some other going to be doing some interviews this year that we might be able to share in a format like this. So we'll
Aren't
definitely
the,
be doing
in that filing cabinet next to the genealogy office, the bottom
those-
drawer, aren't those all?
those are all World War
people
II clippings. Yeah.
that were
And
in the newspaper?
Yeah, and I know Virginia Warren, she indexed all of our another collection we have of all the World War II clippings. So there's probably a lot that we can do with some of that stuff to share too. Just going through the newspapers, I found so much interesting stuff as to how Springfield and Clark County were supporting the war effort, that things that were I learning about, you know, just the war efforts that were happening that I wasn't aware of that were happening here. So we'll probably be sharing some about that as well. So yeah, if you guys have any parts of local history that you say, oh, I wish we knew more about that, you know, send us a email or call. You know, we can maybe work on putting programs together, or just sharing things like, you know, if we've got like Sailor and River to help us share more stuff, we might be able to find other outlets to share just little things here and there in the newspaper and in different places, that as we come across more history, to get it out there to people. So that's what we want to do. So,
Thanks again for all yours. We really appreciate what you've done for this, and thanks a lot.
yeah, well, thank you guys for coming
Thank
and watching, and
Thank
yeah,
you. It
and
was
have a
really
happy
interesting.
Valentine's Day. I hope you guys stay safe. I think the snow is still going out there, and I hope roads are clear tomorrow. And if you're volunteering at the Heritage Center, we'll be sure to contact you to let you know if we're open or not with the weather. Or, you know, be
careful.
posted online too.